Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sara Lubratt, and I officially sent off my coming of age fantasy novella for the first round of feedback last night. And while I'm waiting for feedback, which should take like a week or two is what I was told, I wanted to lean into researching the self-publishing process, the indie publishing process, and kind of start trying to figure out how I want to structure things and like give myself basically a timeline of the deadlines that I have to hit in order to make this real. So I thought that that would be a good thing for me to focus on this week while my novella is off being read by somebody else for the first time. And I thought I would vlog what I'm doing during that week. So today is Friday. I sent my novella at like almost midnight last night. So I'm assuming that by maybe Friday next week or maybe early the following week, I will have feedback. If you're going to enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a big thumbs up because that really supports my channel, and subscribe if you're not already if you want to keep following along of me discovering the publishing process for the very first time and trying to show my steps as I'm figuring it out. So the very first thing this morning is on TikTok, I fell into a playlist of somebody talking about all of the steps that they took to do indie publishing. And it's a playlist of like 17 videos. I'll link it down in the description box below. I will link everything that I talk about in this video, add that as I'm like, trying to learn in the description box below, in hopes that maybe that could benefit one of you guys as well. I think her name is Rebecca Thorne, but I fell down her like TikTok rabbit hole of everything that she did for self-publishing, and she includes numbers like how much she paid editors and cover designers, which is really cool. I also just watched a video where she talks about a timeline for roughly what you need to be doing X number of months out from your publication date. But I spent like 45 minutes laying in bed falling down this rabbit hole, starting to make some notes, starting to learn some things, and then she referenced the person that she learned from, which I believe was Travis Baldree, who wrote Legends and Lattes, who has a Medium article about self-publishing A to Z. So my hope for today is to start reading through that and to finish Rebecca Thorne's TikTok series. Just to start building a base of knowledge, just to start trying to figure out some semblance of what I should be doing next. But before then, I'm gonna go to the gym. Post-workout now, but when I was working out, I realized that 3 of my book titles that have titles, at least like titles as things currently stand, things can always change, but 3 of them, one of them starts with an A, one of them starts with a B, and one of them starts with a C. These are all different series, and then one of them starts with an S. I just thought that was really funny that I have my ABCs. Oh my gosh, literally ABCs, there's an S too. I don't know, that made me chuckle at the gym. Today is Saturday. I started my day off with some work. I tend to work every day of the week. I prefer working more days but slightly less time each day. It just like works for my schedule and my freelancing, and I really like consistency, so that works really well for me. But now I'm about to head to the gym. I'm gonna bring my phone, and I think I'm just gonna walk on the treadmill for a while. So I'm gonna start reading that article that I had talked about yesterday from Travis Baldree, who wrote Legends and Lattes, on his self-publishing process. It's somewhat recent, it's from like 2022, so I think that some of the information would be pretty relevant still, which would be awesome. And again, I'm just like trying to read and get some more information before I start, trying to make some of these decisions for myself. And because it's like a 52-minute long read, I think that walking on the treadmill is a great place to get started with that. It's now 11:05 p.m. on Saturday. I spent an hour at the gym reading through the first half of that Travis Baldree article. Seems like it's really packed with information. I am just gonna try and read all the way through it, and then I'll go back to it as I need to and visit the different sections. And then I spent some time researching marketing stuff. I spent some time working on my Substack, and I popped some champagne, which totaled 2 hours and 45 minutes working on publishing research today. It's now Sunday. Today is July 13th, and I was doing a little bit more research, and what my research was this morning was I've been watching Ryan Trahan's series as he does 50 states in 50 days, and as a part of that, he and his wife Haley Pham, who's big on BookTube and Book Talk and everything, announced her book. It is open for pre-orders 8 months before it comes out. Like I said, when I'm filming this, it's July. Her book comes out in March. I was kind of assuming that books had like maybe a 2-month pre-order period, and it's likely that Haley got a pretty big like book deal. She's working with a traditional publisher. They probably are trying to do everything that they possibly can so that she like hits the New York Times bestseller list or something by stacking pre-orders, because I think that's one of the ways that you hit lists like that is by having a certain number of pre-orders so that the day the book comes out there's already a bunch of sales numbers. Again, I'm not totally sure how much of this is like truly rooted in fact because I'm learning. I'm learning. Haley's book is going to be contemporary romance, but pre-orders for Haley's book, which is called Just Friends, are open before the cover is revealed. And so then I was looking into it, and I looked up this other girl who I follow on Instagram. She's coming out with like a dystopian that I'm really excited about. It's called To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. Also comes out next March, is also going down the traditional route. Also has pre-orders live, has released the cover somewhat recently. I think that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe like at most a month. But again, that's like 8 or 9 months in advance of the book actually coming out. So now I'm starting to like rethink my thought process behind thinking that like 5.5 months might be enough. And I understand that it's different because I'm doing this myself for the novella instead of working with like a big publisher for this project, even though that's still a dream at some point in my life. I'm just starting to like put together some puzzle pieces about like potential timeline and kind of realizing how much rollout time there could be, which I think is really fascinating. And then I was talking to one of my friends a little bit ago that I think her publisher dropped the cover like 2.5 months before the book came out. And I think that she only had pre-orders that went live for like 2 weeks. And she said that that was too short and she wished it had been longer. So I had kind of taken that piece of knowledge and been like, okay, so maybe like 3 months. And now I'm seeing these numbers that are like 8 or 9. And this is when I've noticed it. So maybe it's been open for, you know, a month or 2 by now. And realizing like the range of what's possible, because I think one of my biggest fears with this is messing something up. Like messing something up or like doing something completely incorrectly. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned so far is you can't do it incorrectly. You just like have to make decisions for what you think is going to be best for you. I'm going to start needing to like figure that out. I was kind of assuming I had time to like figure out these things and put everything into place. So like I said yesterday, I had only made it through about half of that article that I was reading because I know that it said 52 minutes, but I was also like, you know, pausing and digesting and trying to like piece some things together as I was going. So I still have about half of that to read. So I might head back down to the gym today and do some more walking on the treadmill, finish reading that article, and then try to start piecing together some kind of plan. The fact that it's with somebody to get feedback for the first time and like is being read by somebody else's eyes for the first time makes it real. And I just want to try to start to put together a plan of like how I'm going to roll things out, how I'm going to start announcing things, like what I need to be doing to start talking about it online. Because when I finally talk about this in a video for the first time, it's going to be a little terrifying because the video that's going up tomorrow, it is being talked about for the first time. Well, now I'm feeling kind of fired up, so I'm going to go to the gym and finish reading that article. I just got back from the gym. I have not yet quite finished the article, but I did make a lot more progress. But fascinating how we were just talking about how long pre-orders are open for, because in this article, he said somewhere that he had like a 2 to 2.5 week long pre-order period before the book launched. And then he talked about rankings on Amazon and that there was kind of a Twitter explosion around hype for his book, and he wished that he would have done a shorter pre-order period than his 2 to 2.5 weeks, and he wished it would have been closer to like a week and a half, so that the pre-orders more closely affected the ranking on release day, which I thought was really interesting because that's completely opposite to what I was noting earlier about the long rollout times, about the long pre-order times for the 2 books that I talked about earlier that are being traditionally published. I just think this is fascinating, and I feel like I'm learning so much, and I'm so freaking happy that Rebecca Thorne talks about this article in her TikTok series, because otherwise I don't know how long it would have taken me to find it, and it's answering a lot of the questions that I have. It's also bringing up some new questions, but it is an incredible starting point. And again, this is linked down in the description box below. It seems like an absolutely incredible resource, and it's free. I do want to add that I know that there are lots of different kinds of bestseller lists. I know that like an Amazon bestseller takes different information than like the New York Times bestseller or the USA Today bestsellers. I know that there's so many different best-selling lists. I know that all of them are like figured out with different algorithms and stuff. Some people say that the New York Times bestseller list is rigged. So we don't know. And honestly, there's probably conspiracy theories about the rest of them too. I have no idea. But I have heard that pre-orders affect the New York Times best-selling rankings. And I'm not disillusioned by any means. It is a dream for a book of mine, if not multiple books of mine, to make the New York Times bestseller list eventually, but I'm not disillusioned by that by any means. I know that it can take a really long time for authors to become really well established. For most people, it takes quite a backlog. I know that for those that get on it, averages being their 11th or 14th book. I don't remember what the statistic was, but that is kind of part of why I want to start, because you have to start somewhere. And I'm very excited about starting, and I'm just trying to figure out what starting looks like for this novella. I'm so excited for you guys to read it. happy Monday. It's almost 5. I'm currently making dinner. I do supposedly have writing group tonight. I kind of don't want to go. I'm just tired, and driving that far sounds hard, and I would much rather stay home. But I also know that an hour and a half to 2 hours of uninterrupted working on researching more stuff would be the better call for me. I know that that's why I go to writing group, is so that I have other people around me who are holding me accountable, who I'm also, showing up for myself in my writing and everything. I'm not totally sure if that's what I'm doing tonight or not, but I want to do some more research. I want to possibly start putting together a plan now with the information that I have. Tomorrow I'm going hiking. I did set a hiking goal for myself for this year, and it's to do 3 10+ mile hikes, 3 or more 10+ mile hikes. And tomorrow I'm doing an 11-mile hike with one of my friends, and I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be very hard, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. One of my biggest things now that I want to look into, and I have a different article pulled up now, is like what months you shouldn't publish in, because I was kind of thinking December. That seems like a good month. It's right before Christmas. Pulled up an article. First month it says that you shouldn't do is December, because everybody's too busy with the holidays. And I'm like, okay, great. I've kind of been dragging since eating dinner, so in an attempt to get a little bit of energy, we're gonna go get ice cream. I didn't go to writing group, by the way. It took a while to give myself permission, but I did not have the energy for it. The ice cream definitely helped. It's now 10:10, but I'm gonna head out onto my balcony and do a few minutes more of researching. Maybe start planning, I'm not totally sure yet, but doing a little bit more research, a little bit more towards the direction I'm trying to go. Last time I talked to you guys was Tuesday, and the primary thing that I was researching then was I learned that there are publishing seasons, which is news to me. I knew that like back to school was a really big time, so like September was a really big time for like big books to come out, but I learned that like November and December are some of the worst months, or possibly the worst months, to put out a book, especially as a new author. It also said that October was pretty good, but it's pretty easy to still get drowned out by like the horror and thriller books that are coming out in October. And from what I was reading, again, we're going off of like 2 articles, so if you know something different, please let me know. But I was learning that apparently the best times to publish fantasy is like February through April, and then like August, September. But also some of the things I was reading was like putting it out in the right month isn't going to make your book, but putting out in the wrong month could break your book. And it's like, okay, well, this is good information to have. I had no idea. And then yesterday I went on my big hike. I currently have an Apple Watch, and I think I'm gonna have to switch over to a Garmin because it just can't hang with how long my hikes are getting. So I had my watch set to hike on the way up, but I knew that it was probably gonna die, so I brought my charging brick and my cord, and I charged my watch while we were at the top, got it back up to like 75%, set it to start tracking a new hike on the way back down, and ended up tracking like 11.13 miles with like 2,500 feet of elevation gain. And we got to over 10,000 feet. That lake was really high up, but that was so freaking stunning. That was such an amazing hike. We saw so much small wildlife. That's an important like caveat because I didn't see any like deer or moose or sheep or mountain goats or anything, thankfully. But we did see really fun things like butterflies and hummingbirds. There were hummingbirds everywhere because of how many wildflowers there were. We also saw some deer mice, and we also saw a bunch of marmots. And then on the way down, we counted how many wildflower species we were seeing and got up to 32 different kinds. Such a gorgeous hike. So stunning, so beautiful. Absolutely want to do it again. And that was the first hike that counts towards my summer hiking goal for this year, which is to do 3 or more 10+ mile hikes. And then I didn't do any writing research or anything after the hike. I was super smoked, and I just wanted to like sit on my couch and watch some trashy TV. And I had a great time doing that. And then today is Thursday. I started my day off with some work, and then I had a little mini crash out during therapy, and maybe not so mini, but just like kind of freaked out about some things and kind of like wasn't able to have a restful day. I kind of had like a burnt out feeling day, which is never fun because like you can't even enjoy not doing things that you feel like you should be doing. And then I went to yoga, and I think that being in the sun and doing some movement really helped at least like reset my brain a little bit for that. It didn't totally fix it, but my boyfriend suggested that I should probably just take as much of tomorrow as I possibly can and do like a personal day. And I feel like that's a great idea. And I was like really hesitant to it at first because I'm like, okay, well, I don't feel like I deserve it because like I didn't do as much as I should have done today. And they were like, yeah, that's why you're burned out. I'm like, oh, cool. I also like did a crazy hard hike yesterday. Like my body is beat up right now. Like I'm just not in the right headspace to be working on stuff, and I don't have to be. As much as I freaking loved my like doubling down and feeling like I have a lot of purpose in trying to get this novella out, and it gives me new deadlines and like fun things to hit, and then I was really enjoying having this week away from writing and editing to like focusing on learning some of the publishing side. I do think that it's really nice that I don't have my novella right now, and I think I'm gonna get it back in the next couple of days. But I also think that I'm going to spend tomorrow doing a little bit of a self-care day and just focusing on like things that, you know, bring me joy and trying to choose rest instead of rest choosing me and like pinning me on my couch. But I think I'm going to choose rest tomorrow. One of the things that was really stressing me out today was about how little authors make. It is my dream, my hope, my goal eventually to become a full-time author, to be able to pay all my bills via writing. Whether or not I choose to do that, like actually, you know, give up doing other things for that, because I know that then there like could be resentment, and then like you can lose joy for it, and you know, things like that. But that is hopefully eventually the goal for my writing, to be making some kind of money. And in that article that I was reading by Travis Baldree, he goes over how much, and really I should say how little, he makes per copy, which I knew, but I don't think I had really like let that sit in yet. Most authors make $1 to $2 a book. Maybe. Sometimes it's less. And that's insane that people spend years of their lives working on something for somebody to pay. I'm going to say $12 because that was the example that Travis Baldree used, because I think that's what his paperback was listed for. And I think he said he was making like $1.87 or something like that from a $12 book. And like the author isn't the one getting paid. Yes, there's printing costs, but also when you're selling on something like Amazon takes a huge freaking chunk of an artist's revenue. And it just like drives me up a freaking wall. Because then I started thinking about the people, because I know people like this that like won't buy a book because it's like $20 or $30. And they're like, that's so expensive. And it's like, okay, you're buying like 10 hours of entertainment and years of somebody's life. I think books should be a lot more than $20 or $30. And with the novella, they just don't sell for as much. And I knew that, but it's just wild. And that is kind of what I started freaking out over. And so I think it's a very good idea that I take tomorrow to just like unplug a little bit, because I was talking to my therapist about my goal being to break even, which feels like a low goal. And so my therapist was like hyping me up, and then I was like, no, like that's actually a stretch goal. And then I explained it to her because I was explaining her like how much I think I'm going to spend on production costs, like cover designer, editor, formatter, and even just those 3 things, not to mention like the ISBNs and the LLC. So just the first 3 things, like I had a budget. And once I have numbers that are official and everything, I'm hoping to share all of that information with you guys because I know that not a ton is out there and I want to be very transparent about the process. And she was like, no, I think you're going to sell really well. And I was like, no, I'm going to have to sell like several hundred copies in order to potentially break even. And it's just freaking wild to me that some people out there like complain about how much books are. And it's like, yes, if you want to get them from the library, that's great. Like that's totally fine. The author still gets paid a little bit, but that's what I was freaking out about. And I kind of feel myself like starting to freak out about it again. It's a very good call for me to take time tomorrow to just choose rest and kind of like recover mentally, my legs, physically from my hike yesterday. And then hopefully I will get the feedback from my novella back in a couple days, which would be really exciting. And so it does feel like tomorrow would be a very good time and like very well timed for me to like take some rest intentionally. Happy Friday. It is currently 12:30. I have had a very hard time not doing work today. It was strongly suggested to me that I just like take the day off, and I could have, but I woke up early and I'm pretty sure it was my brain being like, you didn't do as many things as you wanted to do yesterday. Like you need to like do the things. My notebook is floating. So I've had a very hard time like relaxing today because I'm like, you know what? No, I feel pretty good. Like I can totally like work on some things instead of trying to like lean into the relaxing and like actually trying to take today easy in order to like rest and recover so that I can be a productive human being, you know, like next week, instead of forcing myself to do it today and then having like another like crash burnout session where my body forces me to do it because I haven't done it myself. So I did some work this morning, nothing writing related, but like freelancing and some YouTube stuff. And then I booked a massage for later today, which I'm very excited about. My legs are still really tired from my hike the other day. So I think that that's going to feel absolutely amazing. And now I want to go to the vegan bakery in Salt Lake City and get like a chocolate croissant or a pistachio croissant and like maybe a matcha. For some reason, my Instagram For You page has been flooded with matcha making videos. I don't even really like matcha. My sister loves it. But like after seeing all of these videos on Instagram about matcha, I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to try it again. See if I like it. And it is so freaking hard for me to not bring my computer with me. And even now I'm like, but I could bring it and I could work on stuff and that would be okay. Like it's just a little bit, you know, like it would just be a little bit of work. It's like, well, no, like that's not the point. And I should probably add this in because it is like 12:30 and I'm done with my work for the day. I am currently underemployed. I am not unemployed by any means, but I'm also not working 40 hours a week. I don't want to work 40 hours a week, but I would like 30 to 35 would work really well for me right now. And then I feel like that would still give me plenty of time to work on writing and work on publishing and like, you know, starting to put books out while not feeling entirely exhausted by work. And I'm working part-time right now. I reached the end of one of my like client work periods. So I got the email yesterday morning that like a client was leaving, which is totally fine. Like I knew that it was coming, but I also was told that it was going to happen like 2 months ago. And I've been applying for other things and I have not gotten any bites. I've interviewed for some things and I just like haven't made more progress beyond that. Like I keep getting ghosted. And so that was definitely part of my freak out yesterday, on top of the concept of like not making enough money as an author. And so in my brain, I'm like, yes, I should bring my computer and I need to be doing something productive because I need to like fix this, whether it's working on YouTube and posting more so that I get paid from YouTube a little bit more again. YouTube has never been like a crazy big number, but it can be like a couple $100 a month, which would be great. So I'm like, I either need to be doing that or I need to be applying to more gigs. Like I've already followed up on the people that ghosted me and still haven't heard back from them. And it's just more of like I feel like I need to be doing more instead of just being like, okay, I'm just gonna take the afternoon and be chill. And it's so hard to do because I feel like I need to be doing stuff, which is absolutely why I like burned out and crashed out yesterday. So even though it's incredibly uncomfortable for me to not bring my computer with me, I'm gonna bring my journal and I'm gonna bring a book to read. Hate that concept actually. Like I don't even want to read, but that's my plan. It's also in an area that I haven't really walked around a ton, and I know that there's some little shops, so maybe I go walk around the little shops. It's going to be a great afternoon. I just have to like get out of my apartment and start enjoying it instead of feeling like I'm doing it because I'm not doing enough of other things. It is So weird not grabbing my computer. I literally almost just grabbed it twice. Instead, I'm taking my book, I'm taking my journal, and I am gonna go have a peaceful, relaxing time at the bakery. I need to add that it has been kind of wonderful, not because I'm not making enough, but because I've had the extra time to spend so much time on my writing projects, and I've had so much fun doing that. And I think part of my like freaking out yesterday was like realizing like, oh, this isn't gonna last forever, because I have started applying to full-time jobs again because I'm not getting further than like a first interview on gigs and trying to do freelancing, and it has just like slowly tapered out. And I understand that the economy is like really bad right now, and I also know that the job market is really bad right now, and so I think that it's all just kind of like compounding, because I know that like this novella is not going to be like what turns the tables for me. And like I was talking about yesterday, like I'm gonna have to sell several hundred copies just to break even, and I've thought about doing a Kickstarter to help cover like some of the upfront costs and whatnot, but I'm still thinking like this is not going to be the one that like changes everything for me, and that's okay. And I know that it wasn't going to be, but I think that I was starting to freak out about like, okay, is that gonna be like book number 4, number 5, number 12? Like I have no idea, and it's okay, but I was freaking out about like how long I think it's going to take me to get to that point, which could be a very, very long time. And again, I kind of knew that, but that's kind of what I was freaking out about again yesterday, which like I said, it was like a whole slew of things. It was kind of like a nasty storm, and that's kind of where I'm sitting. And even as I'm like sitting in my car at my apartment, haven't even left for the bakery yet, I'm like, I need to bring my computer. Like I need to be applying to jobs. It's like, well, just like take an afternoon. The difference of like 3 hours from this afternoon to this evening is not gonna make or break anything. The difference between like today and feeling more even tomorrow so that I can do stuff like that is better. And I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, so maybe I'm not doing as well as I thought I was today. Called out. I just parked. Apparently I'm not done talking. I totally understand that like this might also not be something that ever happens for me. I know that it only happens for like a very few people that can like truly write full time. I know that most authors still have some kind of other income, which is something that I'm struggling with because I also feel like writing is the only thing I want to do forever. Editing Sara here. Before I launch into this whole gist of jobs versus careers, I do think that it's worth mentioning that I had 2 full-time jobs after I graduated college. Like I had one and then, moved on to another. The first one was in marketing and the second one was a completely different field. I had different reasons for leaving both, but Fiverr was doing really good and therefore I switched to doing Fiverr full-time from that second job, all in anticipation and trying to build up to the possibility of writing full-time. I was just trying to do things to get myself there. Like I was doing editing on Fiverr and that was awesome for a season. I did it for like 2 or 3 years and that was great, and it felt like a bridge to whatever the next thing was. And then the next thing was social media management. That's what I'm currently doing. And then I switched over to doing that full-time like 8 months ago. And then I was picturing it as a bridge to hopefully like being a full-time author or something else that then is my next bridge to whatever's next. But I just cannot picture myself doing something that's enough of a career that isn't writing. And by enough of a career, I mean something that I want to like pursue long-term. I'm picturing like an office job where I'm like going up in management, where I'm like, climbing the corporate ladder. Like I just cannot wrap my brain around that. I'm like, I interviewed with somebody recently who asked me what my 5-year plan was and was like, what are your hopes and like where do you want to get to in the company? And I was like, I'm like super good with just doing the social media. And they looked like confused. And I was like, no, like this is something that I really enjoy. Like this is great. And that was one of the people that ghosted me. Maybe it was because they thought that I wasn't going to be there long term or something, which is not the case because it's still going to be a long time. But I'm like picturing the social media thing as like a bridge. And so now I'm wondering like, okay, do I need to find like a career that isn't writing to be working on and building in addition to my writing, because writing isn't paying my bills yet? So that's where I'm at. And now I'm at the coffee shop and I really wish I would brought my computer. We're back to that, but I'm gonna go get a croissant and hopefully I chill out a little bit. definitely been in a funk the last couple days, but it's now Friday, which means it has officially been a week since I sent my novella off for feedback. You know, long enough ago that I was able to fully crash out and feel burnt out and like have an anxiety attack and all that fun stuff. Thankfully not about actually getting feedback, but it took me way longer than I was hoping it would to relax yesterday. Thankfully I was able to with my massage. My boyfriend was lovely and booked that for me because he knew I was really stressed out and I really appreciated that. Thought that was very sweet of him. Sugar and caffeine probably wasn't the right way for me to go about it, and I kept wanting to have my computer with me. But then when I got home and I had been away from it for like 4 hours, I actually like opening it was like refreshing because I was like, oh, I haven't done this in like 4 hours today. I'm still feeling a little bit weird right now today, and it's Friday, early afternoon. I also haven't worked out since my hike because my legs were fried after that. But today, after my massage yesterday, and after it's been a couple days since the hike, my legs finally feel strong enough that I am probably gonna go work out, and hopefully that will help like pull me back out of the funk completely. And like hopefully I can get back to my normal schedule and like how I normally do things and spend time on things. All right, you guys, I just got back from the gym and I got the email, meaning I just got the first feedback on the novella, which means this video is officially over and we're switching over to my next one where I'm going to be reviewing the feedback I got. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for sticking with me even though I had a couple hard days. And now let's review the feedback.